Alan, the film Piece by Piece is a documentary about acclaimed musician, pop artist, really legend in the movie industry or film industry, music industry,
Yeah.
Pharrell Williams. You know, so many tunes he's responsible for, so many beats. Probably most famous for Happy, and also wearing a very large hat. He is his career. He's created so many iconic songs, the man behind those songs, and he partnered with Morgan Neville, the director of the Mr. Rogers documentary, to make a documentary only in Legos. That's right. This film tells it's a whole biopic about Pharrell. They're all done in Legos. There's not one frame of human in it. Interviews are conducted. There's supposedly footage or reenactments of things that happen, telling Pharrell's story as a young man growing up in Virginia who just fell in love with music. He describes seeing music in colors, and Morgan is actually even in the movie as a Lego interviewing Pharrell. And all the figures in the film, the musical figures, are all rendered in Legos. It's a very weird way to do a documentary. When you listen to the audio, it is, as described, a doc, tells his whole story. But the visuals being done in Legos, there's an interesting device they use where they show like how he sees a beat as glowing different colors. They're like prizes that he keeps, and they're like these gifts that he somehow receives by, connecting to the universe of ideas. The opening of the film discusses like, is nothing new, everything in the universe. There are no new colors. All the colors we have, you can't invent a new color. The spectrum of colors, that's what we have. But can you invent sounds? I love that it gets into philosophies about creativity. But I've seen the movie twice now, and I say I really love this film. First of all, I love docs. It's also the right length. It doesn't overstay its welcome. 90 minutes. It does get very personal. You would think like this is dumb in Legos, but there's parts of the film. There's a moment in the movie where he discusses like he has kind of a downturn in his career, and he gets into what inspired the song Happy. When he gets into that, it's this touching moment about family and what matters, and his grandmother who believed in him, who passed away. And I'm sitting here getting choked up watching Legos, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I give this a strong recommend. It's also because it's a Legos, people will think it's for kids. And that kids can see it. There's a funny thing where Snoop Dogg is in this movie. Like they swear, and whenever someone swears, a poop emoji goes in front of their mouth. And then when Snoop Dogg is in the film, they spray PG spray. But Snoop Dogg is actually in the movie smoking weed. But they
you also forget the women on boats in bikinis.
Yeah, they redo one music video in Legos, but it's supposed to be sexy. It's so well done. So this kids could see this and love, all the songs. I was surprised how many songs I knew. But I was impressed. He is the man behind so many people's careers. So I loved it. Strong recommend. It's a weird sell because it's a doc, it's Legos, it's moving, it's music, it's a music documentary. And I really did not know previous to seeing this a lot about Pharrell. Now I do, and really loved it. And Morgan Neville really is his Mr. Rogers doc is amazing. So and that's how Pharrell got, wanted to work with him.
Mhm.
What did you think of Piece by
Yeah,
Piece?
not only wanted to work with him because of Mr. Rogers, but I mean Legos. I think he always wanted to make a Lego documentary like this. And I think part of it also is because I think certain people didn't want to appear on camera, and they felt much better about doing it by being represented as a Lego figure.
Right.
I'll also say that I really did enjoy this. I think the music is incredible. In fact, I would suggest see this movie in a Dolby theater or an IMAX, something where where a theater that's known for good sound, because this movie is kicking. Yeah, I'm like you. First of all, I'm fascinated by the guy. I have been, but I realize how little I knew of his career.
Yeah.
And I realized how much of the music I've enjoyed over the last 20 years, 20, 30 years. Pharrell has been a part of it, and I didn't even know it. No doubt. Gwen Stefani is in this one. And she just goes into how instrumental Pharrell was in creating No Doubt, or creating the mega hit band that No Doubt. And loved it. I'm not sure I'd ever want to see another documentary through Legos ever
Yeah,
again.
same. It
Yeah.
worked for this because
Mhm.
I did love this running thread of how he comes up with a beat,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, it's a
so
beat.
what the
Yeah, it's a
process,
beat, and it's represented by two or three odd pieces of Legos put together.
but they
It
glow.
lights up and pulsates, and then he puts it away in a box to be able to pull it out again when the time is right. And so he just collects these beats that he can use now or use later. The other thing, what's interesting is, his life, in the sense of, here's a guy who, for the better part, is a part of hip hop, but not a part of hip hop. And if anything, he's the guy who brought hip hop to the masses. He transformed it in a way that kept to its roots, so he was able to build a large hip hop following, but at the same time be able to bring it to everyone else, which I found amazing. Like he's got a song in every single Despicable Me movie. So his appeal is so broad, and it's just interesting to see how he has his foot in both worlds. There was a point in which a lot of the artists who they interviewed, he comes from a skateboarder world, which I guess according to them, black people don't do skateboards. But they talk about how he wasn't necessarily one of them, but he was. And this guy is just kind of this enigma that I just found fascinating in terms of, this, not to get politics into it again, but, for identity politics, to have someone who succeeded purely on talent, who was black, who was, who didn't seem to have any real obstacles or barriers in the way other than himself and the business. And yeah, it's very inspiring, and I would definitely recommend this movie.
Yeah, I mean, as a documentary biopic film about an artist, what I love about it is you get a perfect mix of the reason he is at the level that he is.
Mm-hmm.
You get insight into his personal life, his relationship with his parents, his grandmother in particular, his friends that he made growing up as a kid, how he struggled in school, and his love of music. Just they show a scene where he's just using like kitchen utensils to pound on pillows to make sounds, and the insight into the process. He would come up with a beat and then not have a song. He'd go like, I don't even ever like, here's the beat, the riff of the song. I want to match that with an artist. They come up with lyrics. I've got the beat like that's underneath it. His friends like Chad would add to it, and it became this whole process. So I love the insight into the creative process. Whenever we talk to filmmakers on the show, I always want to get like, the whether it's writing or the filmmaking side, you want to know like how it's done. And the movie gets into that. And the way it's, like you said, like these glowing things, he comes up with a beat, doesn't know what to do with it, I'll put it away. And he even even discusses he had a beat that he did for Prince, and Prince never used it, which was cool. So I really cannot recommend this film enough. I don't know if it'll be nominated for best doc, but
yeah,
apparently they spent 5.5 years on this movie, and it is legitimately made like a doc. Personal interviews to camera. Morgan's in it. You know, like, so, footage or reenactments, the songs themselves, like you said, music videos being reenacted in Legos was like crazy. Cause I remember that music video. It's like
it was
sexy,
hot.
hot, and like by the pool and women wearing barely anything. And they did that in Legos, so it actually makes it very innocent.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
Yeah. To your Oscar comment, I mean, there have been animated documentaries that have been nominated for Oscars, so I don't see why this one isn't. The only thing I think people will say is not worthy of Oscars is the fact that it's very scripted, in the sense of you have to have a script in order to animate this stuff. So, and also a lot of the reason it's done in Legos is, I don't think there's video or film footage of Pharrell's personal life, the way he came up in the business and things like that. And so it's all reenacted in Legos.
I'm sure that what they did was they made a movie like that was not Legos, whether it was audio only or something. They created an audio version of this doc first to then animate too.
Yeah.
So because it's done like a traditional doc, and having made docs myself, that is part of the process. You get like your vomit cut, which is the movie in audio form. Then you marry the visuals to it. So I can imagine he did a process like that. I did go to a special screening, and there was a Q&A and intro, and that's for our members only. So check out those. He gets into it. It's very good. So a strong recommend from me. What about you, Alan?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a strong recommend.